The soft bigotry of low expectations. Before I left my home country of Trinidad and Tobago, I was part of a Libertarian panel group that was actually discussing the issue of crime in our home country. Now, a couple of the points that we got from that discussion were, one, we felt there was a need to decriminalize drug use as well as prostitution, not only to free up the judiciary system to deal with more violent crime, but we also felt that the legal system was not offering a viable solution to any of this. It would be better handled by social and medical professionals. Secondly, we felt it was necessary to remove unnecessary regulations and licensing requirements for micro enterprises, especially for people coming from a poverty demographic. I still remember to this day in 2015, I was walking through the capital city when a bunch of policemen jumped out of a van and they went to seize and remove an elderly woman that was selling, bits of fruit and vegetable in jars and cans. But because she didn't have the necessary license and a subsequent Ministry of Health badge, they seized all of her goods and they basically escorted her from that place. And I remember thinking to myself that they basically shut this woman's business down that may have been the only source of legitimate income that she may have had. And that sort of thing really needs to be stopped. If people are really in a desperate position, we do not want to put more hurdles in front of them in order for them to pursue some kind of enterprise that will help them. And thirdly, we discussed the potential that people should be allowed to purchase a firearm or some other kind of defensive device to protect themselves, their property, and their loved ones in the face of the rising criminal activity that was happening all around us. Now, ironically, in 2017, the opposition party actually put forward a proposal suggesting they wanted to loosen the requirements for people to purchase a firearm in light of the rising crime situation. Now, I and the panel were very much in favor of this action, as we feel that is a perfect right, and the only alternative, of course, is to call the police. And anybody who knows anything about that, calling the police in Trinidad and Tobago doesn't necessarily guarantee any kind of favorable outcome. Now, ironically, the detractors from this proposal all seem to have the same argument. It wasn't about facts, statistics, or anything along those lines. It basically boiled down to a position where they said the people of Trinidad and Tobago were too wild, too irresponsible, or too unhinged to ever be considered good candidates to be owning and operating firearms. Now, for me, I was most shocked at this statement, as the person in effect had essentially insulted the entire population of the country, but this in a sense became the go-to response. And this, my friends, is known as the soft bigotry of low expectations. The people who made these statements, as well-intentioned as they may be, they are in effect insulting the population of Trinidad and Tobago, suggesting that we're all too wild, too irresponsible, and too unhinged to ever be considered fair candidates to own a firearm. This has also been heard in the United States, where people are suggesting that the requirement for voter ID in a general or a national election will somehow ostracize the minority community. In essence, they're saying that the minority community, for whatever reason, is incapable of doing that which the majority of the community is capable of doing, which is, of course, procuring an ID. So while they might be trying to protect this community, they're actually doing so by making a bigoted judgment about their capability and suggesting in some capacity that it's inferior to other groups. This sort of thing is by no means limited to the political arena, although it dominates in that area. I've experienced it even in the realms of my Christian faith, where some people would suggest that if you even so much as listen to somebody who has a different interpretation or a somewhat different view on some matter, you're going to fall headfirst into some kind of apostasy or unbelief or some other such nonsense. Again, suggesting that Christians are incapable of discerning what is good for them or not, or even thinking for themselves, that they need some other authority to think on their behalf. So again, guys, this is what's known as the soft bigotry of low expectations. Listen out for these kinds of things. It's very common in the political arena, although not exclusively so. So guys, thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. So until next time, guys, all the best. Take care.